would probably describe our show as like the old adage, taking a trip down memory lane. Because for a lot of the episodes, that's kind of what we're doing. Is we're sort of tapping into our own personal sports histories to, basically go through memories that we have and sort of relate it to the viewer at home, so to speak. And the rest of it is just sort of controlled chaos, basically. We're a lot of times, we have an idea of what we're going to do going into an episode, but probably about 70% of it is just improv. Like, there's certain stuff that's said during the show that, you don't expect and sort of leads to other things. And I think a perfect example of that is the whole, when Craig, our buddy Craig on the first episode, or like the first episode that he's on, talks about Rob Hauser. Like, that wasn't planned whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, like, the Rob Hauser phone calls. Like, it just sort of added a new element to the show. So I sort of think of it as sort of mixing a little bit of history and a trip down memory lane with, just two friends testing their limited sports knowledge and trying to make sense of a complex sports world.
Well, the reason Robbie and I have always been talking about sports ever since we knew each other in 8th grade, and we have a lot of our own opinions, and we even have a couple different sides here and there, especially when it comes to hockey. I feel like we had a lot to say, so we figured we collaborated, we talked about it, and we thought, hey, maybe we can. Instead of keeping it all in our heads and amongst the two of us, we can just share what we know and what we feel like and what our opinions are about sports in general. So to the world of YouTube and the world in general. So, yeah.
The history is basically, it's really nothing fancy. We basically just sort of were just talking at one point, and we're like, you know what, it might be fun to record ourselves. I think at first we were going to just record ourselves like watching sporting events and like sort of recapping the games and stuff like that. And then it sort of turned into, well, since we're doing it, let's sort of like make this into something. And all of a sudden it's like taken off into, now we're into like 25 episodes. And, it's basically just something we like to do in our free time when we get together, and just gives us sort of a chance to bond, so to speak, and, discuss something that we both enjoy, which is sports. So, I mean, it's really, there's nothing really complex or anything about the history. It's just basically we thought it'd be something that'd be fun to do.
Some of the influences. Well, me personally, I have watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I've seen a lot of podcasts, and I can say a number of those were pretty big influences. I've seen a lot of movie reviews, like I can name a few, Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman. Those guys have at least influenced me, how to kind of how to talk through the episodes. And definitely I would say the show on my shirt here, the Craig Show, was another big influence right there for, I think, the two of us, just part of, like, I feel like we like the style of the Craig Show, so we kind of implement a little bit that style into our show. It's not exactly like that show, but ours is more of a kind of a talk show. But we like to kind of just keep the kind of the randomness and the improv going on this show. So. Yeah, just like the Craig Show. So I definitely recommend watching it if you haven't seen it, by the way. So
my role, I would compare my role to like a 5-star general. I'm basically the anchor, the one that keeps the show going down the right direction, and just keeps it from like going into utter chaos. No, I'm basically, I'm obviously the host, so to speak, but I'm just basically the one that, just sort of keeps the episode, or tries to keep the episode at least, going down somewhat of a path, which is not, easy at times. But basically, I mean, I'm always collaborating with Kyle. He's collaborating with me, to just keep improving every episode, to just keep, making it fun for the two of us, and just continuing to bring our sports knowledge to the people out there.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. On a couch has two, count them, two arch nemesis. Are you ready? One, as you all know, is Rob Hauser, the guy who keeps calling in. The other one is iMovie. Not a lot of you know that, but I would actually put iMovie as one of our main nemesis because nemesis. I don't know how to say that plural, but anyways. So, because iMovie's kind of a tough program to work with, I gotta say. A lot of times it's kind of the camera kind of failed on us. We had to find alternate means of filming. I mean, that's about it pretty much. Once you get past that, it's actually a pretty easy thing to navigate iMovie if it doesn't like to screw around with us. So, no, editing overall, I'd say it's a fun thing, but sometimes iMovie just has these glitches and whatnots that kind of distract us and make it a little more difficult for us to edit. So, yeah.
Most fun part of doing an episode, I would say, just talking sports. I mean, sports is something that I've always loved, and it's something that has been a big part of my life for so many years now. And just being able to talk about and talking about events and things in my past are important to me sports wise, just sort of makes it fun. We never. We never get frustrated with any of the episodes. We're always just trying to have a good time, and I think that's the best thing about it. We're just two friends who enjoy talking sports with each other and just enjoy being around each other. It just makes it fun to film an episode. There may be times where we disagree about content or things like that, but at the end of the day, we're just having fun. We're not professional filmmakers or anything like that. We're just people that really enjoy sports and enjoy just making something that we can enjoy watching it back later. But that's another fun thing, I think, is watching the episodes back and just seeing some of the craziness in front of your very eyes. You've obviously experienced it doing the episode, but to see it back sometimes, it can give you a good laugh.
Well, I think it's actually a really great thing, especially for the show. I think it brings about two very different perspectives on sports. Example being, when Robbie and I talked about sports cities, he actually was more, because he had more knowledge on the U.S. cities, and he knows more about the American sports. And actually, I kind of me being a track guy and hockey and kind of more, I actually fall a little more into the international sports because I've done track. I remember naming a few, and I've studied a lot of history about that. So I kind of went for the more international sports cities like Athens. So I thought it was kind of I think in general it's just really it's just really cool to sometimes I bring in my nerdy perspective and my really nerdy comic book side of things, and sometimes people look at me like, what are you talking about? And I don't know, I think it just brings kind of in a different different side of the show. And Robbie, he knows a lot about sports, and it's actually a great big help for me, because then he can if I have any questions about any of the main sports, especially the American sports like baseball and everything, all the player names and all that stuff, he can tell me. He's very knowledgeable about that. So
Definitely the Super Bowl. Just because of all the pageantry and tradition behind it, it just seems like it'd be a fun event. Even just the build up to it, because the whole week, they've got events, they've got media day and things like that. I just think it'd be a lot of fun to just be in whatever city it's in and just like talking to players or like personalities, things like that, and just it's sort of the one of the pinnacle of sports is the Super Bowl. It's one of those once in a lifetime events. An event you kind of have to go to at least once in your life, kind of like a bucket list type of event, and I think that'd just be something that'd be very fun to cover.
Whew. Future plans. Well, we have a couple guests lined up. We're not going to say who, but we will say that some of them are going to be returning. We just have future topics. We might cover umpiring in a future episode, and yeah, that's about all we've got so far. We kind of the thing about this show, we kind of think about the episodes very quickly. We think about them. Robbie and I, we collaborate. We ask, hey, what do you want to talk about this week? And right then and there, we say, hey, we whatever comes to our mind, whatever interests us the most at that moment. So that's how we do it.